I am California of the past.
I am California of the past. I am California of the past.
I am May Ayres, and I was born in Iowa in 1873, and I came to California in 1905. Well, I was a teacher in Kansas, and my health failed, and I came to Pomona to die. After I was married, I worked in Dr. Doula's office for 4 years. And, I did all kinds of things. Then I nursed for about 25 years in Pomona. And then I just had practice. I've always had lots of nurses training, not in the hospital, but practical nursing. And I nursed for, all these doctors, And then another thing I did in that epidemic, when was that, 1918? And I nursed in that emergency hospital on Gary and 4th, or right down there, in those two old houses, Oh, yes, Dr. Wilson was another doctor. He and I worked in that emergency. And in that time, we didn't have even lights in there when we started in there. I held a lamp for many an operation. Well, the first night I went on duty in the hospital, I had 48 patients. And I was the only nurse. The nurses were all sick, And one Indian woman, and her little boy was dying. We knew he was dying. And that was a pathetic thing. One night, he was suffering so, and she said to him, the little boy's name was Elmer, and she said, "Oh, Elmer, give it up. You've suffered long enough. Go on home now." And he died that night. And it was pitiful. My. After I nursed a long time there, then I took it on Christmas. And then I was real sick for quite a while. But I went back to nursing again. I nursed at the Evanses, and I had three patients there, and I took it there. And then I had to lay off for a while. Well, they did all they could. They had so many, and everybody was sick, and so many desperately ill patients. I remember one morning they brought in a whole family, 8 in the family, and we didn't know what we was going to do, but we did. Well, you couldn't get around to give them water sometimes, and the Indians always said, "Get awa, awa," all over the house, where you couldn't get around. You try as hard as you. Even the doctors, some of them were afraid to come in. Dr. Newcomer, he was a good doctor. He was always very faithful. And then, you see, we had that hospital there, and this hospital here was full. Oh, it was terrible. The first 2 or 3 days, I was just there by myself. Oh, you couldn't get around. You just couldn't. The facilities, And when you had that many patients, you couldn't get around. They were just, we tried to be sanitary, but oh my. We tried to look after their food, and bathing and things, it was out of the question, especially in that hospital. And they tried to be sanitary, but they couldn't do like they do now. And I remember we had a kitchen, and somebody cooked right there now this was the emergency hospital, and they cooked there. We had a cook or somebody when we could keep them, and we'd get around to their food as much as we possibly could, but it was almost impossible. That emergency hospital was just pitiful. And so many Mexicans and people, You see, when it came on to them, they didn't realize how serious it was, you know, and didn't take care of themselves till they got down, and then went into pneumonia, of course. Well, now there's so many preventatives now, and there's many more things to do with, you know.